Rohit, and welcome back to my channel Loving Soulfully, where we talk about self-love, soul love, and divine love. As many of you know, I've written a book called Loving Soulfully a few years ago, and people have loved it, but they've also had many questions. One of the main questions I've been asked is to talk about the difference between romantic love and conscious or soulful love, as I call it. Romantic love was an idea that is very recent, almost about 300 years old. It was made up by authors and writers who conceived of this beautiful notion. It became really popular. It has now been embellished by Disney and by our movies and all kinds of folklore that have made it the mainstream form of relationship. It is what we look for, it is what we expect, and it is what we take for granted. But does it work? That's the question we're going to look into. Is it successful? From what I have been able to find out, the statistics are that about 60% of relationships, of people who fell in love, who thought they were each other's soulmates, fell out of love and got divorced. For many others, they've gone through a lot of struggle and strife that gives therapists a lot of business and has kept people struggling with their notions about love. So, is there a better way? Romantic love is based upon the ego. What do I mean by that? It's based upon a list of things that you look for in a partner. Most people have this list when they're dating, and they never question where that list came from. That list comes from the media, our conditioning, our society, or stuff we've just made up. We never stop to think whether that is actually attainable. Soulful or conscious relationships, on the other hand, are based on the soul, and they're therefore based upon spiritual growth, service to the divine or to the community, and forming what is called a secure attachment. Romantic relationships are based upon the ideal of finding the one. The one is this perfect person, the one who's just right for you, and it's been completely exacerbated by the idea of the soulmate myth. And I call it a myth because if there is one soul who is out there for you amongst 7 billion people on the planet, firstly, it's going to be really hard to find that person. Secondly, if you find that person, how do you hold on to such a relationship? How do you make it last? And if you lose this person, oh my God, you've lost the 1 in 7 billion. There is going to be no other. Now you're devastated. That's a terrible trap to fall into. And now some people think, okay, well, maybe this wasn't the one. Maybe the next one will be the one. The next one will be my ideal soulmate and lover. In contrast, the conscious or soulful relationship does not try to idealize someone. It recognizes that we're all flawed, that if anyone is the one, it's the divine or God, but not some human being. Furthermore, you get to learn acceptance and unconditional love. These are virtues and qualities that help a relationship go a lot further than idealization does. Now, in both romantic and conscious relationships, there is a deep commitment. But the commitment in the case of a romantic relationship is based upon vows that you take at the time of marriage. In conscious relationships, on the other hand, it's about a commitment to emotional healing and spiritual growth. In other words, evolution as a human being. In romantic relationships, there is a strong feeling that this person is mine, and therefore a sense of ownership, which in time causes people to become complacent and take each other for granted. In conscious relationships, there is an understanding that nothing or no one is mine. While it's perfectly okay to form a secure, deep attachment, that doesn't mean we own anyone or possess anyone. We form attachments without entrapment. Romantic relationships are, for the most part, based upon monogamy. And while monogamy is a wonderful concept, and I certainly stand completely behind it, it doesn't always work. Conscious relationships are not about a particular format. They can be designed in whichever way the couple decides. You can be creative and choose. You may want monogamy. You may want non-monogamy. The more important factor is that you're willing to communicate, that you're willing to overcome your ego, that you're willing to overcome your fears and insecurities, and that you're willing to take responsibility for your experience. These are the hallmark of a conscious relationship, not a preset paradigm that everyone is supposed to adhere to. In romantic relationships, there is a fear of abandonment, of betrayal and cheating. That is because this idea of holding on to someone so tightly as mine will always lead to that. Just as with your possessions, there is always that fear that you might lose that which you have. In a conscious relationship, on the other hand, the most important thing is that you are best friends with each other first. Now, just as best friends create a safe space where they can talk about anything, conscious partners create that same safe space as well. So whether that means that you're attracted to someone, or whether you find someone sexy or hot, or whether in fact you dream or fantasize of making love to someone, everything can be talked about. Nothing is off limits. There is true space for honesty and authentic communication about what's going on with you. Just as with your best friends, there is no need to lie or cheat or deceive. Everything can be negotiated and everything can be created in a way that fits both partners. And because there is that level of flexibility, there is also a deep invitation for vulnerability, for opening one's heart, for expressing one's innermost thoughts, desires, feelings, and being able to hold space for them. Another terrible myth in romantic relationships is the expectation that my partner will make me feel loved, make me feel special, make me feel wanted, and make me feel good. In conscious relationships, it is understood that no one can make you feel special or loved or make you feel good. That is your own responsibility. Your partner is there to add to that feeling. When you're already feeling loved, you love yourself, and your partner's love now becomes something that is icing on the cake. It's not an expectation. It's not something that you're demanding of them. It's not something that only they can do. It is something that enhances your life. In romantic relationships, it is often observed that sex becomes quite mechanical. That is because of taking each other for granted and not really exploring deeply each other's needs. In conscious relationships, because nothing is taken for granted, there is a constant exploration into what pleases your beloved. Sex is seen as sacred, as something that is a meditation, as something that deepens connection, and that is an honoring of your partner. Romantic relationships often have the purpose of being able to form a family unit. People dream of having a wonderful home and having a support structure, someone who can be there with you through the course of your life. In conscious relationships, it is certainly about family and security and being together, but there is a larger purpose of spiritual evolution as well as of service to the community and to the divine or God. In romantic relationships, it is often observed that people become codependent, though it is not necessary or essential. That is because there is a sense of merging together identities and becoming as one unit, one family, one couple. There is a tendency as a result to lose oneself in the relationship. And if at any time the relationship breaks up, it becomes very hard to find yourself again, because by that time you've chipped off so much of who you are that without that partner you don't know who you are anymore. A conscious relationship, on the other hand, tends to form interdependence. Because there's such a strong emphasis on personal spiritual growth, you merge and then you individuate. You lose yourself and then you find yourself. So you do this dance of going back and forth. At no point completely losing yourself. In fact, it is vital that the things that make you you are preserved. The core aspects of yourself remain as they are and are not compromised. If you lose yourself completely, then who are you and why should they be in love with you? I hope you found this video useful in determining the quality and kind of relationship you'd like to have. I'd love to know what your thoughts are, what kind of relationship you'd like to create, and what you perceive as a healthy, conscious, evolving relationship. If you're interested in exploring this topic further, feel free to go to lovingsoulfully.com or to my website rohitjuneja.com. Sign up and download the color version of my book Loving Soulfully. Make sure you subscribe and I'll see you in the next video.